Today's Humboldt County adventure begins right here in the town of Fortuna. And that's because in the summer of 1911, outdoor adventure novelist and writer Jack London traveled through Humboldt County. After spending the night in Fortuna's Star Hotel, he continued his travel north to watch Fernbridge being built over the Eel River. He also went for a canoe trip on the Klamath River, and it's said that he even became embroiled in a lengthy fist fight in a Eureka saloon. So if you want to hear about these stories, join me for a swashbuckling adventure as I retrace Jack London's travels through Humboldt County in 1911 right here on Humboldt Outdoors. Alex, thank you so much for meeting me here today. Before we get into Jack London and the Star Hotel, could you tell me about this gem of a museum here in Rohnert Park?
I'd be delighted to. This is the Fortuna Depot Museum, which has been open since July of 1976.
What kind of exhibits can be found in here?
Local history with a lot of focus on Fortuna and the Eel River Valley and some on wider Humboldt County history. So it really just holds a very close personal spot in a lot of people's hearts here in Fortuna.
Can we go see the Jack London exhibits now?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Ha! Looks like we're setting up right in front of the Jack London exhibit here.
Yes, there is Jack himself outside in front of the Star Hotel.
So, okay, let me start with, why did Jack go on this expedition?
Well, it was a contract that he had with Sunset Magazine. I think he'd proposed to them the project of he and his wife and his valet, Nakata, would go on a 3-month tour of the North Coast, him driving 4 horses and a wagon and, doing all sorts of outdoorsy, adventurous stuff. And he would write a report or a magazine article detailing all the interesting things that they'd done along the way and the sights that they'd seen and the adventures that they'd had. They started out in early June of 1911, and they got back home to their ranch house in Sonoma County in early September. I believe it was September 6th of 1911 when they finally settled in back home. So it was about a 3-month trip.
And you said about a month in, they arrived in Humboldt County.
That's right. It was early July.
Okay. So he stayed in the Star Hotel all night, and then he got up the next morning and he left.
The Star Hotel was the luxury hotel of Fortuna at the time.
I'm going to go down to where the Star Hotel once stood just to see what it looks like down there.
Great, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks again. I sure enjoyed it.
Oh, it's been wonderful having you.
Well, this is where Fortuna's Star Hotel once stood. But sadly, the old hotel building burned down in 2015. But right around in this area, one morning in 1911, you could have found Jack London hitching up his team of horses to his wagon after he, his wife Charmaine, and Nakata had spent the night here at the Star Hotel. His next stop was about 3 miles north, where he was going to watch a new bridge being built over the Eel River, a bridge that is still in service today. We all know that bridge as Fernbridge, and Fernbridge is my next stop as I retrace Jack London's 1911 travels through Humboldt County. When Jack, Charmian, and Nakata stopped here in the summer of 1911, Fernbridge was in its final phase of construction. When it officially opened several months later, it was given the title of the Queen of Bridges. And to this day, Fernbridge is considered to be the longest poured concrete bridge still in operation in the world, right here in Humboldt County. So before we move on to Jack London's next stop in Eureka, let's just take some time to admire this local architectural marvel.
Well, I understand you're on the trail of Jack London in Humboldt County.
Oh, yes, I am. And you know, it's because of your article that I am. That article you wrote, Humboldt's London, that inspired me to make this whole episode. Can you tell me a little bit about the Humboldt Historical Society?
Sure. This is our 75th anniversary year. We got started in 1947. And we moved into, a couple decades ago, moved into this historic Victorian house. And this front room here is our bookstore, where we have all kinds of books available on many different aspects of Humboldt County history. Got all kinds of documents. We've got family records and business records and you name it. And if you're interested in what's happened in the past here in Humboldt County, we probably have some record of it here.
So where do you want to go talk about Jack London?
Well, how about, we've got a lot of research rooms here, but how about the library? It's probably the best
library
place to start.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, let's go.
All right, yes, let's go.
Well, the house was built in 1902. It was a private home and was deeded to the Historical Society a couple of decades ago. And now we have our research facilities here in many rooms, upstairs and down.
Wow, this is a beautiful library.
Oh yeah, we've got a huge amount of information.
So, according to the article you wrote, Jack London spent about a week here in Eureka.
That's right.
So I'd love to hear, what did he do when he was here for a week?
Apparently he had fun. Yeah, when he rolled into town in 1911 and stayed at the home of Hiram Ricks, who is the past mayor of Eureka. Beautiful home that's still there at 10th and G Street. He was a guy who liked to enjoy himself, and he certainly did when he was here. He did a lot of fishing and sailing on the bay. And he was particularly popular locally. His books were very popular, and Call of the Wild had just recently come out, and there were a lot of fans who were waiting to see him come into town and went to events where he was at. The article that he wrote in Sunset magazine, really promoting Humboldt County. Take Humboldt. This region of the 6 counties alone will someday support a population of millions. In the meanwhile, oh, you home seekers, you wealth seekers, and above all, you climate seekers, now is the time to get in on the ground floor.
Wow, I am sold on Humboldt County with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, well, I got an old saloon I need to go check out now.
Keep you late to that.
All right, thank you, Pam, again so much.
Thanks for coming.
All right. Historic old town Eureka. You know, when Jack London came through here in 1911, saloons were kind of a big thing. In fact, it's estimated that there were around 80 of them in this area. Well, today I'm interested in just one of those saloons, and that one is the Oberon, where Jack London is said to have had his legendary barroom brawl. And there it is, right ahead. Wow, Nick, thank you so much for meeting me here today.
It's great to see you.
So, the Jack London fight in 1911. Tell me about it, if you would.
The Jack London fight is it's a fantastic history. Jack London came here into the Oberon, had some drinks. When he came in, he met Stanwood Murphy of one of the local lumber families. And them both being very political, they started talking politics, which in a bar is always a great idea. And so soon after that, they started fighting about politics and then throwing punches about politics. So it went on for over an hour, and Jack London was on the floor a few times, and Stanwood got his share too. Once it settled down, they finally opened the doors. Both men ended up going to the hospital for about 2 days to lick their wounds. And that was, for the people in that bar, that became the fight of the century.
It was a wonderful story, and it's great to hear how Oberon is working to keep those connections to the past history of Humboldt County.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to our story.
And believe me, I'll be back some other time.
Can't wait to see you visit.
Thanks again.
Salute.
Well, whether you're a fan of Jack London's or not, I think we could all agree that based on his articles in the Sunset magazine, he did develop a profound respect for the beauty of this area while he traveled through in 1911. And you know, maybe that could be a gentle reminder to those of us who live here that we should take time to experience ourselves the beauty and sometimes even the adventure that can be found in Humboldt outdoors.